Real, modified for inflation. Household, so not just individuals, but households as they're made up currently in the UK. Disposable, after HMRC have had their bit, and that's a very relevant part at the moment, as I'm sure everyone watching this will be feeling. And then income, ultimately. What have people got to spend? They either spend it or they save it, apart from anything else. Welsh rent is up 6.7%. You'd have to blame primarily policy failure there compared to England and Scotland. Scotland's relaxation of their rent controls has seen rent rises calm right down to plus 3.3% year on year. The peak was 11.7% annually in Scotland in August 2023 when they had rent control in place. Go figure, there's a lesson there, folks. If anybody making policy or writing papers about that is listening, what do you learn from that? Rent controls don't work. Well done. We've learned that lesson 100 times in the real world. For the 5-year, we opened the short week at 3.988% yield and closed on Christmas Eve at lunchtime at 3.974. With no news to move on, the trend this week normally speaks to the prevailing trend at this time. And this trend is mostly sideways with some volatility because there's just not much volume in a week like this. And I have mentioned there's been relative stability in that 5-year gilt and the resulting 5-year swap over the course of nearly the last 2 years now, apart from anything else, which apart from anything else means mortgage rates on 5-year haven't moved very much at all. What about the 30s? Well, the 30s calmed a little bit. They opened the week at 5.267% yield and closed at 5.228. So we clipped off 4 points at the steep gradient of the longer term yield curve. But this year has seen consolidation of this steep yield curve, which actually started to look like this near the end of 2024. The difference in the yields really has all been at the short end. Curve looks a lot more normal and the short end has come right back downwards. But if we pick on the 5-year, which is our bond of choice, the gap is 50 basis points cheaper on the gilt compared to 1 year ago. The swap yield has been clipped 35 basis points, so the other 15 basis points have been absorbed into the cutting cycle, if you like, because now we know one thing apart from anything else, we're closer to the end of this cutting cycle than we were 12 months ago, apart from anything else. So the swap yields on the 5-year are 3.643%, compared to 3.634 1 month ago, basically identical, and 4.031 a whole year back. But as I've said, very limited movement in the mortgage market of note.